In the quiet Florida city of Northport, neighbors once described a family as warm, welcoming, and deeply compassionate. A couple known for helping others. A couple who traveled overseas on Christian missions. A couple who adopted a teenage boy from another country in hopes of giving him a better life. But in the early hours of August 31st, 2023, that quiet home would become the scene of one of the most brutal family murders the city had ever seen. A crime that left two loving parents dead, and their adopted son at the center of the investigation. This is the story of Dima Tower, and the night everything fell apart. Long before the murders, the story begins thousands of miles away in Ukraine. Dima Tower was born into instability. His early childhood was marked by tragedy. His mother died when he was still a child. His father struggled with alcoholism and eventually abandoned him. Without a stable home, Dima moved between relatives before eventually being placed in a Ukrainian orphanage. Those who later learned about his childhood described conditions that were harsh and emotionally damaging. Some relatives of the Towers would later say that when the American couple first met him, he appeared malnourished and emotionally withdrawn. Children in many orphanages often experience severe trauma, lack of affection, poor living conditions, and constant uncertainty. And for Dima, those early years would shape much of his life. Meanwhile, in Florida, Robbie and Jennifer Tower were building their life together. The couple were known in their community as friendly and compassionate. They worked in real estate and were active in Christian mission work. They frequently traveled abroad to help communities in need. During one of those mission efforts connected to Ukraine, they encountered a teenage boy who needed a family. That boy was Dima. The couple believed they could give him a new beginning. After years of planning and paperwork, they adopted him. Dima was about 14 years old when he moved to the United States. Suddenly, he was living in a new country, a new culture, a new language, a new family. For many adopted children, especially older ones, the transition can be extremely difficult. For Dima, the adjustment appeared to be particularly turbulent. At first, the Towers appeared hopeful. Family photos posted online showed smiles and vacations. Jennifer Tower often shared positive messages on social media, but behind the images, cracks were beginning to form. According to records later revealed during the investigation, police had been called to the home before. There were reports of violence and arguments. In one earlier incident, Dima allegedly pushed Jennifer during an altercation. In another case, he was accused of attacking someone inside the home. The Towers tried to work through the problems. Family members later said the couple continued to forgive him. They bought him a car. They supported him. They kept trying. But the tension inside the house continued to grow. August 31st, 2023, late at night, the quiet neighborhood was asleep. Inside the Tower home, something terrifying was about to unfold. According to investigators and testimony later presented in court, Dima Tower armed himself with a knife from the kitchen. He walked into his parents' bedroom. His father, Robbie Tower, was asleep. In the darkness, Dima began stabbing him over and over. The attack was brutal. At some point during the violence, Jennifer Tower woke up. Realizing what was happening, she ran from the house. She ran to a neighbor's home. She began pounding on the door, screaming, "I need help." But the neighbor did not see her immediately. When they opened the door moments later, Jennifer was gone, and there was blood on the steps. Jennifer had been forced back inside the house. Investigators later said Dima made her sit on the couch. He told her what he had done to her husband. Then he attacked her too. By the time the violence ended, the couple had suffered more than 140 stab wounds combined. Their bodies were later found lying face down on the living room floor, head to head, surrounded by blood. When police arrived, the scene was horrifying. Blood was found throughout the house. The master bedroom, the kitchen, the living room. Investigators followed a trail of blood across multiple rooms. 2 knives were later recovered. One had Dima's DNA, the other had the victim's blood. The violence had been intense and prolonged. This was not a momentary act. It was a brutal, sustained attack. When officers approached the home, they saw something shocking. Standing outside the house was Dima Tower. He was covered in blood. Police shouted commands for him to stop. Instead, he ran to his car. He drove away. What followed was a high-speed police chase. Dima sped onto Interstate 75, fleeing south through Florida. At one point, officers deployed spike strips to stop his car. Eventually, the vehicle stopped, but Dima ran again. He disappeared into the woods. For hours, police searched. Helicopters scanned the area. Deputies combed the forest. But Dima had vanished into the night. The next morning, The search ended in an unexpected place, a gas station. Workers noticed a young man wandering nearby, dirty, disheveled, still wearing clothes stained with blood. It was Dima Tower. He was arrested and taken into custody. During questioning, detectives asked him why he had done it. Why kill the people who had adopted him? Why murder the couple who had taken him in? Dima's answers were chilling. At one point, investigators asked him about the moment he walked into the bedroom with the knife. The prosecutor later repeated the question in court. You pulled out a sharp knife, and you walked into your parents' bedroom, didn't you? What were you thinking about before you started stabbing your father? Dima replied, I wasn't thinking anything. What is there to think? In another statement, he described his emotional state as pure rage. He said he was boiling with rage when the attack happened, but when detectives asked him to explain the deeper reason behind the killings, he gave a strange response. He told them the story behind his actions was too complicated. 2 years later, the case went to trial in Florida. By that time, Dima Tower was 24 years old. The prosecution argued the killings were deliberate, premeditated. They pointed to the fact that he armed himself with knives and carried out a sustained attack. The defense took a different approach. They did not claim Dima was innocent. Instead, they argued that his traumatic childhood and emotional instability played a role. His lawyer told the jury that the young man had been emotionally scarred by abandonment and life in orphanages. They asked the jury to convict him of manslaughter, not murder, but the evidence was overwhelming. The confession, the crime scene, the DNA, the chase. After deliberating, the jury returned their verdict, guilty, 2 counts of first-degree murder. During sentencing, the judge spoke about the victims. Robbie and Jennifer Tower had spent years helping others. They had welcomed a troubled teenager into their home. They believed they could change his life, but their kindness ended in tragedy. The judge sentenced Dima Tower to 2 life sentences, without the possibility of parole. As the sentence was read, Dima interrupted the courtroom. When the judge described him as evil, he responded, "Evil spirit, because you're talking foolish." The Tower home became a symbol of unimaginable betrayal. Neighbors struggled to process what had happened. Many described Robbie and Jennifer as some of the kindest people they had ever known. A couple who helped strangers, a couple who tried to save a child, but their attempt to give someone a better life ended in unimaginable violence. Today, the case of Dima Tower remains one of the most disturbing family murder cases in recent Florida history. A reminder that sometimes the darkest crimes happen inside the places meant to be safest. Inside the home, inside the family. And sometimes, the person you try hardest to save is the one who destroys everything.